Hey everybody, um, got a nice little surprise. So this is intergalactic history, and I wanted to do a part two to the Ascended Masters series I'm doing, but in order to really get that kind of level, the foundation has to be kind of laid out. So we're going to do some real quick shots of history here and get everybody up to speed that may resonate with this or not. So, what and where do we live? What are we living in? So, this episode is going to be about our blueprint, our authentic blueprint. I feel like since that's being restored now, why not? I just kind of talk about what I resonate with and what I can feel and see is happening. So, just to kind of make this kind of smooth, the first place I want to start is dimensions, the universe, our DNA. So, this episode is going to be about the indigo kids, the indigos, the indigo children. Who are they? And who has the actual real information on them? So I'm going to tell you right now, the indigo movement had to do with a wave of beings that came in. And I believe they came in to do exactly what is happening right now. A lot of, I'm sure everyone was a part of that, whether they maybe didn't realize it or not. But that's when I came in. So, in indigo, when I first learned about them, had to do with the first understanding of our DNA. So there are three types of indigos. There's an indigo 1, there's an indigo 2, there's an indigo 3. In indigo 1 is a 48 strand indigo being. So they pretty high level DNA. A lot of people that had walk-ins come with that kind of DNA. They had to actually walk in the avatar level of a person. Had to actually come in when they had maybe a near-death experience. It's typically when that happens, and they went out of body, and then that soul aspect that was already there went out, and the avatar came in. It could be different parts of the eternal structure, but that's just an example. So 48 strand being. The second indigo, I believe, was anywhere from a 12 to 24 strand being. And just took maybe a step down in the frequency. The third indigo was a very unique type of contract. They were a 12 to 24 strand being, depending on what they wanted to do. But the indigo 3's purpose was to help a soul that needed to assemble certain strands of its DNA in order to have their eternal blueprint or eternal self or their eternal everything back. So let's kind of talk about that. Why are beings needing to work with their DNA? So the DNA obviously holds everything. It holds every memory from all lives. So when they say it's all in you, it's not your DNA, it's your eternal self, which I can't really put in words, but the DNA is a good recorder of things. It also moves multi-dimensionally. So I'm not just talking about a form of matter. It's DNA with many things. Um, so it may not equate directly to any type of known science. But you can pretty much access things there. And so, I kind of noticed, and I'm sure people did too, that if you haven't really picked up on it, it seems like these ETs are real big into like evolution. And they are. Because it was probably everyone's purpose for coming down here had to do with evolution. So the indigo 3 typically is a 24 strand, or it could be a 48 strand being that cohabitates one body, and it's maybe a soul, well, it's a high level essence, and then that essence then has a contract. I don't think that these contracts maybe exist anymore, but I'm not sure. This is old information, so it may not be applicable to now, just given some history. So let's say you were an ET being, that the divine angelic human that was the original intention for what I believe is to be the human had 12 strands of DNA. It's at the 12th level in the 12th dimension and up that you have eternal life and no type of, to my knowledge, it's just something on a whole different level. It becomes kind of like non-physical, non-material, and the eternal self goes as far as source. So I know for a fact there's things way larger than that, but for the sake of what's our history, the angelic human was what we all are to some degree. Let's just say it's an eternal amazing thing. If you had all 12 strands of your DNA activated, you could turn yourself into light and span or teleport anywhere in multiple different dimensions, interdimensionally. So it's been a big thing to get the 12-strand framework back in place. So a little more history. I'm not going to go into a lot of the stuff that kind of went downhill in our past. But for some of the beings that maybe did go downhill for a short period of time, they ended up, there was a point in time where, maybe, I don't know the exact date, it was a long time ago, but there was a point where, everything that is potentially of a nature that's not 100% reflective of the eternal love is a minority, or to my knowledge was a minority in all of creation. So the majority of consciousness exists in pure love worlds, and lives even with free will, and they are fine. So it's just like kind of common sense to like stay in alignment with eternal will. And so we're kind of not really taught that, but this is a place, as they've said, that, this has never happened. So the beings that are here, I've never done this ever, and there's not many times that I can say that. But so we're in this kind of very small percentage of consciousness. So that's kind of the key thing to kind of understand, that the majority of everything else, the other worlds, other beings, other creations, are running with the flow of the eternal, um, the love, um, as everything. So, um, so a long time ago, some beings started to kind of degrade their DNA. I don't remember why. It was just maybe some choices. They ended up losing maybe a strand or two. So you got like 11 strand beings and you got 10 strand beings. Um, the reason why this is such a critical thing, and you hear the number 12 a lot, is because we have stargates. The stargates operate like fractals, or not. They operate kind of like source. It's they're everywhere. You have stargates inside of you. There's big ones. They're on different levels. But for the sake of this, even on planetary systems, um, so there's a count of 12. Could be off, but originally, the way it breaks down is every 3 dimensions you get a harmonic universe. So there's harmonic universe 1, and that's dimensions 1, 2, and 3, and that would be kind of what we just left. And then you get harmonic universe 2, which is the soul, and that's dimensions 4, 5, and 6. And then you get harmonic universe 3, which is dimensions 7, 8, and 9, and that's harmonic universe 3. That's the oversoul. And then you get the avatar level, which is dimensions 10, 11, 12. And that is harmonic universe 4. So when people say, oh, the avatar, like that's a pretty big thing, to have an avatar level come down to the earth. Because in the past, I don't think or know if it was, super possible or not. But, we've consistently done things that are off the charts here. So, anyways, when you think of Avatar, they're at like kind of the top of, let's say, a grid, a network, and there's 12 points on this network, and I'll probably draw it out later. But at the top is a Stargate, and it's the 12th Stargate, or I don't know, the 10th. So a long time ago, I think some beings made a plan to try to explode that particular Stargate in Harmonic Universe 4. I think this is the fall of Lyra. And their plan was to, explode it so that nothing below it could get out. And you have to think about when something's connected all the way through, if you take a brick out in the middle, if you're trying to run water through it or energy, it's not really going to connect. So this kind of domino effect took place and kind of messed up the system. And that's kind of why, to my knowledge, we were where we were. So this information is kind of important to understand. But source is all love. Source always goes back to source. So, stories are stories. And that's, so that's kind of how you get different beings with different DNA counts. So when you talk about an indigo 3, you're typically getting, a being that maybe had problems genetically and lost the ability. I don't even think they even like have the capacity of a 12th strand. They only have like 10 or 11. So they have to go with a host. And that host will take them on, and it provides the 12th and the 11th or whatever for that being to it's called bioregenesis, spiritual. So for that being to bioregenerate and go back home to eternal source, it has to then go through a process of, with an indigo 3, cohabitating one body, 2 souls, a very high frequency eternal aspect, and another being that typically has about 11 or 10 strands. So that's what the indigo threes were. They were known to be the children that were diagnosed with ADD or ADHD were typically indigo threes, because what's happening is you're getting an eternal being that's running really high frequency, and it's coming in the body, but then it's hitting kind of the energy or the template of the other being, and that being can't really synthesize those high frequencies. So you get kind of split personalities with these, you know, threes, or people who kind of like have, two sides, and they all know it, for the most part. They probably feel like they got, like, like a demon in them or something, but it's not a big deal. So what happens is, when you had the indigo threes, the frequencies were such a high jump that the person could not focus. They could not keep still. That's where you get that attention deficit disorder from. It has to do with energy and frequency being processed, synthesized. It has to do with our DNA. It has to do with everything scientific that I feel like I can talk about. And so the attempt with the ADD and the whole psychological movement and all that was to try to take out indigos. I can't say the whole movement, but particularly giving them Ritalin was not right. It suppressed the DNA activation. And you will find, the more you look into things scientifically, how much in the past things that weren't organic, pure, something of the eternal intention, had, DNA activation or DNA suppression in it. So that's indigos 1, 2, and 3. 48 strand. I'm sorry, it's not 12 to 24. It's 12. It's like 24 to 36 is the indigo 2. My apologies. 24 to 36 strands is an indigo 2. Indigo 1, 48, 2, 12. I'm sorry, 24 to 36. Indigo 3 has 12 to 24. So that's the indigo children. And that entire group came from a teaching that is very rare, and it has to do with the Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order, MCEO. Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order. And they activated with, I believe, Asha Dean, her name is Easha now, who taught what used to be the Freedom Teachings or Keylontic Science, and is now called Arrays Productions. This was, I think she began probably around 1998. So it started with a lot of the UFO movement coming with this group, because she was an abductee. And by the way, she writes these great books. They've got great history. Everyone should get them. Voyagers 1 and 2 by Asha Dean. The first one's called The Sleeping Abductees. The second one is called The Halls of Amenti. So this is a great reference point, and I'm just going to say to you guys, go get the books, read them. You're never going to find anything on this planet. I've never found anything since I've read them, and I read them a long time ago. There are only things that kind of connected. But I'm not going to go into the whole history of that group and things now. But they and she laid the groundwork to bring this eternal knowledge back. So at the 12th dimension, not any lower, is where the eternal connection with eternal source comes in. So you can't really distort it after the 12th. And so in a time matrix, which is geared for 15 dimensions, as compared to our 15 chakras and our 13th chakra connecting with the center of the planet. Um, this is a lot of info, but I'm gonna give, we're just gonna go with it. So we don't have seven; we have 15 chakras, and it's all connected as the micro, macro. They say, as above, so below. That's very true. The 13, 14, and 15th dimensions are the eternal, are the primal light and sound fields. And they're not like dimensions. They're like, I believe, fields of consciousness. One's like all sound, one's all light. And then there's a name for another, for like the other one. But so at that level, which would be HU5, 13, 14, 15th dimension, harmonic universe 5, you're dealing with a rishi level of consciousness. That's what they call it, a rishi level of consciousness. That is after the avatar. Now, to my knowledge, that was the highest, but I don't know, that a being was able to make kind of bad choices back when I read those books. Because after that, I mean, you just can't do something that's not in alignment with the eternal, because you are it, and you still are all the way down. But at certain levels, you can't deny the truth. So, there was, I'll just keep it moving. So, rishis are very big. Now, the eternal scale does actually continue to grow, but it doesn't grow in a vertical or linear way. Another layer is kind of added to it. And then you get what's called the inner domains and the outer domains. And then they have, like, I think the mid, I don't know what those are called. So if you imagine kind of like a time matrix, that's my hand. At the top is Stargate. So up here is 12. The way Source works is that it starts to go in to itself instead of just going up and straight, because that's kind of the top of intergalactic. After that, you become transdimensional. You're no longer interdimensional, you're transdimensional, because you're traversing in a different kind of lateral format the structures of energy. And they don't even, I think, they don't call them dimensions after that. They call them the kind of domains and the inner, they call it the inner and outer fields of creation. So this is as far as I got when I studied my spirituality. And, it's important to kind of give you guys all the information. I'm not giving it to you. I'm doing this for myself and the eternal love that I am. That's just why I'm doing it. But, if you take out any bit of that information, it's not going to be accurate. So that is the structure upon which everything lies. So we are on planet Earth, and previously in time, that used to be in the third dimension. Yeah, it would be better if I had graphs, but there's a whole story to it, and there's other planets involved also, but I'm not going to go into it. Anyways, my point here is that at the 12th dimension, at the 12th Stargate in the time matrix, and probably within people as well, is where the being can connect consciously with higher frequencies, and that's where they come in. So I think we can stop there for now.